Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy BB27, the SML reviewer here, and welcome to a brand new series on the channel, SML Character Reviews. This has been requested for a while. I mean, not just requested, but something I've been promising to do since literally August. Since the first month of the channel, before I even started streaming, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do character reviews someday. So, for the first ever character reviews on this channel, basically it's going to be a big introduction. We're going to be doing Bowser Jr. That's our first character in this entire series. Bowser Jr., my personal favorite character. He's now known as Junior just because of the whole lawsuit thing, almost lawsuit. But back then he was Bowser Jr. for many years up till that point, up to 2021. So yeah, he is my personal favorite character in the entire series. Most entertaining, most funny, most relatable to me. And I just grew up watching Junior videos. I always loved those more than the Mario ones, or when Jeffy first came out. I just couldn't stand Jeffy. And we'll get to a character reviews on him someday. A lot of people probably thought I was gonna do him first, but no, I'm doing Junior. Because he's my personal favorite, and I figure that's a good way to start it off. So I want to kind of explain how this series is going to work. So I'm going to yap a little bit. You can kind of skip ahead, maybe a couple minutes. But how this is going to work is it's going to be broken down into a few different sections. I'm going to be basically starting off the character review, explaining why the character matters and who they are to the series, right? So kind of a little introduction on what the character is. Then I'm going to go over pros and cons of the character that, I have with them, most people have with them, kind of the overall pros and cons. Then I'll be talking about why I personally love or hate them, and then I'll kind of give a score for them. I'm not going to drag it on 50 different points about the character, just something simple, maybe around 5 to 10 minutes every episode. It could be longer, but I'm not going to drag it on too much. So that's kind of the introduction of it. So now we're going to hop into who Bowser Jr. is to SML. So Bowser Jr. was a character that was introduced way back in 2013 with the video Bowser Jr.'s Macaroni. This video was pretty legendary when it first came out. It changed up the course of SML going forward forever. And not just the course of SML going forward, it changed up the format of SML. It changed up everything going forward forever. The channel really was never the same once he got introduced, because before this, I'm not going to go over a whole hour-long history on it, but Logan never really did, he never did his episodes in, a Family Guy format where it's, feels like more of a show. He always just kind of did big, long episodes occasionally, or big series, and then, a lot of one-off videos. But once Bowser Jr. got introduced, he became heavy reliant on videos that were more structured and had more of a story and a beginning, middle, end. But yeah, Bowser Jr. is also Bowser's son. I should mention that. I'm pretty sure you guys all know him from the Nintendo games. I don't need to mention this, but he is Bowser's son. And he's also kind of Chef Pee-Pee's best friend. Not really in the beginning years, but as the channel continued, they actually became closer. So, and he also has two friends, Cody and Joseph. I'm not going to get into all the side shit of Junior. I'm mainly focused on him as a character and what I think about him type shit. So yeah, that's the introduction of Junior. So now we can move on to the pros and cons of Junior. All right, so now for the pros and cons of Bowser Jr. So I'm going to start off with the pros, and then we're going to get the cons. So the pros for Junior, honestly, a lot of people in the community, it's gonna be kind of hard to find people who are like, oh my god, there's so many pros for Junior, there's so many things I like about him. Me personally, though, there's a lot of things I like about Junior. I could say he has a lot of pros. One of his biggest pros is just the humor that comes from Junior. Maybe not in the earlier days. The earlier days, it was mainly focused on him being a whiny brat and kind of just doing whatever and annoying people. But once he got to 2016, 2017, he started making more sexual jokes, crazier jokes, edgy jokes. He started just kind of becoming more of his own character, kind of coming out of his shell a little bit and turning into a different person a bit, while still kind of keeping the whininess and the dumb side of him. One of his biggest humors that you're going to find from Junior is dumb humor. It's nothing like Jeffy or some of the other characters in the franchise, but Junior has dumb humor. It's just lighter than the other characters. But yeah, that's one of his biggest pros, is just his humor overall. It is he's a funny character. He's a very entertaining, funny character, in my opinion. Of course, this isn't everybody's gonna like agree with this, but I'd say a lot of people will agree. Junior, one of his biggest strengths is that he can honestly hold up an episode on his shoulders sometimes. Maybe not all the time. It's a little inconsistent, especially Logan. You know, this is Logan we're talking about. It's a little inconsistent, but with Junior, honestly, I feel like he usually holds up the episodes. Like if it's a really shitty episode, he can save it, honestly, sometimes. So that's one of the biggest strengths. Another one would be I feel like another one for him would honestly be how much he cares for his friends deep down. So at first, we're probably thinking I'm crazy saying this because he treats them like such crap all the time. But there's times in the series where they'll show a different side of Junior where he genuinely gives a shit about Joseph and Cody. Like Magical Button, for example, one of my personal favorites of all time. He literally killed himself just to save everyone else with the whole death button, right? And that was one of the most nicest things he's done. But there's other times in the series where he'll just he cares about them, you know, and especially Joseph. He's very close to Joseph. He'll always kind of look out for him, and he does care about them deep down. Almost like Eric Cartman, but just not as evil as that. Like a lot of people will compare these two together. I feel like Junior's way nicer than that, because Cartman just doesn't really give a shit at all what happens to them. Junior on the other side, like he cares. Like if Cody gets hurt, Joseph gets hurt, he'll cry about that shit. He's a very kind of like emotional character sometimes too, depending on what's going on. And I like how he has such a strong personality. That's one of the biggest strengths for Junior, besides just his humor. He has a pretty good personality. In the earlier days, you know, it wasn't really there, but as the series continued, yeah, it really came out a lot. So those are some of the bigger pros of Junior, I can say. Now we're going to move on to the cons. So the cons for Junior they're pretty strong, and the biggest one, and this was mainly for 2014 to like 16, or like like his earlier days, the whininess. The whininess was insane back then. He was the whiny brat character. He was based off of Logan's little sister at the time, because I guess Logan just couldn't stand her and he wanted to make a character. He thought it was funny to make a character out of that, and that's kind of what Junior's origins were. Basically he was like Jeffy, but not as bad. A lot of people say, oh, he's worse than Jeffy. No, he wasn't as bad as Jeffy. Like, yeah, he would scream, he would cry, he'd kind of throw stuff sometimes, but he would never launch TVs off of like the fucking roof or like beat the shit out of Mario. Like, he wasn't really doing any insane shit like that. He would just be a whiny little annoying kid that wanted everything to be his way. That was one of the biggest cons. But I feel like in modern times, his biggest cons nowadays are just being kind of like a piece of shit sometimes. It's not all the time. I still love him. He's still my favorite character, but there's things that he's done I can't really forgive him for. I mean, he cheated on Penelope. He, you know, screamed at Cody. He almost killed Cody so many different times. Like, he cares for him still, but there's times where, like, no invite, for example, where he did everything in his power to make Cody stay there with them, or like invite them, right? Or like Cody goes to college where he wanted him to not go to college just because he wanted to be their friends. Like, you know, part of him cares there, I guess, with that, but it's also kind of messed up because he's not even thinking of his friend's future. Yeah, so I'd say that's one of the bigger cons, is he's just a straight up dick sometimes, and it's kind of gets in the way of I feel like his better parts of his character. You know, I mean, he does genuinely do some nice things sometimes, and he's a very enjoyable character. He's a very entertaining character. But sometimes when he is an asshole, you know, it gets annoying. It gets rough to sit through. Like the school project, for example. Like, that's another one, right? But these are all kind of one-off videos. This isn't every Junior video. A lot of Junior videos don't even have this. Yeah, I can bring up a positive example. It's actually a lot of Junior birthday videos are very positive, especially the newest one that came out last year. He genuinely cared for Cody's gift. He thanked him and like they hugged or something. It was really good. It was like amazing, because you don't get to see it too much in modern times anymore. But yeah. That's kind of all the big cons. I mean, he was a whiny brat in the beginning, and then now he's kind of just a dick. A lot of people will say Junior is just like too much, I guess, too. That's like another con, like just too much of him. But I honestly say nowadays it's Jeffy that's there's too much of, and Brooklyn guy, it's ridiculous. But I mean, Junior, you know, when we do get to see him, it's usually enjoyable. It's just kind of hit or miss now. All right, so now I'm going to move on to my final point. So now I'm going to move on to my final point of the video, which is, why do I love, or, you know, dislike, I guess, this character? For this video, I'm going to be talking about why I love Junior, because he's my favorite character. But for some videos in the future, I'm going to be talking about why I don't like them. So why do I personally love Junior? Why is he my favorite character, and why do I just love him in general? Well, number one is I relate to him a lot. Now, I'm not like as much of a piece of shit as him, and I'm not as much of an annoying whiny brat as him, but I mean, I relate with the sides of him that are like more funny, like his humor, though, how his bond with his friends is just so good most of the time, not every video, but most of the time. And just like kind of the stupid shit he gets into, like whenever he's just dumb about certain topics or things, I relate with that a lot. It's funny to me. And there's a lot of things he'll do, or like certain things, like ways he'll act about situations that I feel like I could just honestly see myself in a lot. Like, of course, there's times I don't relate with him, but there's a lot of times I relate with him. And growing up, I just loved Junior. He's just, he was great. That's one of the big things right there, is I relate with him. I also find him hilarious. I also find him the most exciting to watch. Whenever there's a Junior video, I mean, it's not as exciting anymore because modern SML is pile of shit, but especially back then, though, 2015, 2016, it was always banners all the time. Junior video came out, I was excited. It was very good, and that was mainly because of him. It wasn't really even because of anybody else. I mean, of course, he had like a lot more Chef Pee back in the day, but even then, like, it was mainly Junior that I was really looking forward to watching. There's just something about him, like, he just pulls me to this channel a lot more than anyone else. There's times where honestly, I'll skip a Jeffy video just to wait for the next Junior video. You know what I mean? And it's not just him. It's Cody and Joseph, too. It's the entire trio, which maybe I'll make a video like this in the future, just talking about Cody and Joseph. I'll kind of put them together. It's the trio in general that makes me love Junior even more, because they just work. We work off each other so well, and it's the most entertaining shit imaginable. And I love it. They've carried the channel for a long time, but Junior himself can carry the channel too in some episodes. But yeah, so that's why I love him. As for a score to end off this episode, I know I'm kind of rambling. It's the first episode of this, so give me a break. But I'm gonna give Junior a 9 out of 10. He isn't perfect. But it's one of the strongest scores I have for any character in the franchise. He definitely has his moments where I'm just like, oh, come on. You know what I mean? Like when he cheated on Penelope. But then he kind of like fixed it, I guess. But I mean, still, he has his weak moments, as do every character in the series. Some of his are like really annoying. But honestly, they're not as bad as other characters. So he is always consistently funny, entertaining, relatable, and just an interesting character overall. So that's about all I really have to say. Hope you guys enjoyed the first episode of the SML character reviews. I'm finally doing it. Let me know who you want to see next. It could literally be anyone. It could be Chef Pee, Jeffy, Marvin, Rose. I mean, anyone, dude. It could be like Doofy the Dragon, bro. It could be anyone. Let me know in the comments. Doesn't have to be modern day. It could be 2008. Fucking Kun Pao up in this bitch. All right, that's about it. Like, subscribe, your boy, later, and peace out. See ya.